NAPALM. They call me NAPALM. And this is NAPALM Live, episode 4. And I'm joined today by Rob Taylor from Smarter Team Training. We're going to find out a lot about Rob. I found out some stuff I didn't know about Rob 2 weekends ago at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Strength Conference at Newman University that was put on by Julia Olson. Was it just me, Rob, or was it extremely cold in that facility when we were there?
I felt like it got hot and cold. I felt like I was going through some type of hormonal shifts throughout the event. But there were definitely some people in sweatshirts, some people in jackets, and some people in t-shirts. So the venue might have had a couple drafts somewhere.
Yeah, I think it would have been cooler if we would have just been outside ice fishing for that conference. Maybe it might have been a little bit warmer. I had to go. If I have to go and get a hoodie during the thing, like I almost brought a blanket, bro.
Yeah.
I almost grabbed a blanket out of the truck. I was chilly.
Yeah.
I was looking for hugs at that thing. So, look, I've known Rob for years. I don't know how many years. I first met Rob at the Juniata Strength Clinic in Huntington, PA. I don't know, in the 20 teens at some point. I know Rob has spoken there at least once, maybe multiple times. And Rob's a real dynamic speaker. In fact, he was the first speaker at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Strength Conference, and I don't think they could have chosen a better person to start things off. We're going to talk about that and your dynamic style of speaking, Rob, because I really loved it. Before we get into the interview, I want to remind everybody that I do have the 31 days of Q&A going on here at the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. You can submit a question to be covered during the 31 days of Q&A. Not going to guarantee that it's going to be covered. I'm going about things a little bit different. I got a bunch of videos that I've done in the past that I put up when I was not nearly as good of a speaker. So I'm trying to redo those videos so that people can actually get top quality information in about a quarter of the time. So I've got 11 or 12 already uploaded to the channel. It's just a matter of getting them published on the day they're supposed to go live. But if you have a question and it's good, I might just cover it. I have received a few good questions that are in the queue to be covered, but make them good. I want to help people out this year with good quality information, and that's why I brought Rob on NAPALM Live today so that I can share some stuff from a perspective that's a little bit different from mine. Rob, I don't really know what this whole entire show is about. Like, I just started this. I know I want to help people get better, whether it's training, whether it's with health, lifestyle, etc. And basically, when I see somebody that I think would be good for it, I reach out to them and I get them on. So when you did your talk on, when was it, the 28th? It was 2 weeks, or 24th, maybe?
Two
Whatever
Saturdays
it was.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 Saturdays ago. I was like, yeah, I got to get this guy on. So maybe to give us a background of your sports history and kind of work into how you got into the strength and conditioning field and became a business owner where you're at now. Maybe we can go over that.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jed, I applaud you as a true professional. I agree. I think we're into maybe this friendship 15, 16 years now. I've spoke at Juniata like 9 or 10 times in different capacities, whether it's live or whatever else. And Doug Smith did an incredible job bringing in awesome community of people. And I actually look forward to sitting in your presentations. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't sit in many presentations. I was more of a networking guy on the outside, shaking hands, kissing babies. And there's just so many cool people there to let's say, run into. It's just neat. So I applaud you and how far you've come in this field. Your accolades as far as your own personal achievements and grip strength and all that type of stuff is awesome. But my story's like I'm told it's a bit of an onion peel. I started playing college baseball and had an opportunity to go and play a little bit in the pros, and then got a chance to jump into the NFL and be a strength coach as an assistant, and got a chance to go jump in and go back into Major League Baseball, and then be in the minors for a little while, and then got a chance to pursue my master's degree at the University of Delaware, and I had opportunity to meet and get really heavily into the lacrosse world, which opened up opportunities at Villanova and Princeton, and then had an opportunity to jump on board at UNCG with basketball, and eventually landed here in Baltimore. Before I tell you about the Baltimore story, I will tell you, if you're young and new to this field, take advantage of any opportunity every time it happens. If you spend 12, 16, 20 weeks at a location, especially when you're new in this field, jump to another location, learn from somebody else, make a phone call. I went all over the world. I've been to Australia 17 times. I've been to New Zealand 3 times. My passport is like completely stamped full of places all over the world, let alone the continental United States. I'm very, very fortunate to have a facility that is all custom made, from the turf to the plates, the dumbbells, to the grip equipment, the technology we might talk about later on. Um, and I
Absolutely.
still tell you, the most important thing in my facility, and that includes the staff, is their contacts on their phone. It's really the people that make this thing an incredible journey and an awesome profession to work in. So fast forward to essentially 15 years ago, I moved to Baltimore. I was a head strength coach here at Loyola University. One of my first intern classes now basically works for me. Aid Parks, you might see him pop in here just as a checking in on me, making sure the conversation is going okay. But now he runs the soccer side of things, and I was able to do stuff in the pros and in international level, and work with college athletes, and it was just and then work all the way down to youth athletes. I was able to speak and write books, and it just gave me a lot more freedom to do a lot of things. I learned a ton working in those other environments. College, pro, everyone has their own um, uh, things that fuel them. Um, I just have an uncanny desire to positively impact the lives of as many people as I can. And I don't care if they're 11 and 12 years old. I don't care if they're 35 years old and their first round draft pick, #1 pick, World Series champs, Super Bowl champs, Twarton winners. I mean, you go on and on, whether it's awards from the Olympics and setting world records. Um, I just enjoy getting around people who want to be better today than they were yesterday. And I applaud that. I encourage it. And those high achiever type people, again, I don't care if they're 12 or 35, um, just get me up and get me going in the morning. I've been involved in 21 sponsors we've had throughout the course of the years here with the business side. We can talk about that a little bit if you want. From speaking sponsors to business sponsors, from clothing and apparel to equipment. It's been a fun ride to be doing this for nearly 30 years, and I have no problem telling people how we got here. It's never easy. No business is, but as long as you try to be a little better tomorrow than you were yesterday, every day seems to just kind of pile on top of each other. And you're looking for small wins, and over time, you have hopefully decent success come your way.
You brought up a good point. I'll sum it up kind of. It's not necessarily what you know, but who you know.
Mm.
And you talked about people that are new in the strength and conditioning field, especially in the university setting, and kind of bouncing around. And I have noticed that because just from my experience at Juniata, I'll see someone one year, maybe it'll be the first year I met them. Then the next year, they're back at Juniata and they're working for a completely different school.
Correct.
So I don't know how many people tune into my channel in the industry, but I think that's kind of important. Could you talk a little bit more about that and the nature of the strength and conditioning field at the university level? Because that's something I don't really know about, and it might help somebody out
Yeah.
big time.
So I've had just over 300 interns in my career. Every intern that walks in here tells me that they want to work in the pros. They want to work in Division I colleges. Very few want to reach out and work with disabled boot camp, weight management, that type of like. There's like a huge just maybe it's just the people that find me, but a lot of them try to go that direction. A lot of them try to pursue physical therapy as a doctoral degree after they come and see what we do and kind of what they get exposed to. But the part that kind of to get to your question, the part that kind of I think needs to be addressed is one: do you have any clue what those people get paid? Do you have any clue what those time commitments looks like? Do you have any clue what those academic commitments? And do you understand what the longevity is at almost all of those positions? As a strength conditioning coach, as a head strength coach at a, let's just say, general Division 1, 2, or 3 institution, all of them being different, um, your life expectancy might be 3 years. And depending on the position you have, it might be linked to a sport coach or a head coach. So if they pick up a job and they're successful and they go somewhere, do you want to go with them? Does your family want to move? Um, there are times where opportunities opened up with you without um, a sport coach associated with it. Do you want to pursue that and get underneath and go with that direction? There are times where people fire you. It's don't act like it's uncommon that if you don't get along with everybody or they're not winning or maybe they have injuries or whatever else. I've been very fortunate to win a lot in our profession. Whether I don't care what it is, what level it is, youth, college, pro. I've been around winning a lot, and I don't take that for granted. There are times where we haven't. I've been around a baseball team that lost 100 games in in Double A in baseball. Try to go through a season where you lose 100+ games. It's a very different ride than winning a Super Bowl or being involved in a World Series. But I do believe if you are talking about our field and our profession, you do have to be willing to be a bit of a chameleon and understand that even though you might have unbelievable education and certifications and quote unquote know what you're doing, there's going to be a coach that wants something specific, and you better pay attention to that and uh, make that part of your program, whether you believe in it or not, or you're just not going to have a job. So there is a little bit of a give and take, and a lot of times it's a lot of give, very little bit of take kind of thing on your end, and you have to work through that. And I don't think a lot of people realize that when they're going through academic side of things or the certifications, or they're new to the field and they walk in the building and they're like, yeah, I want to work with a pro. Like, okay, you don't even know how to do a warm up or a stretch. Like, let's slow down. You don't even understand like how to put different weights or protocols, or like you implied technology and the other stuff that we're doing. Like, I think people almost young kids are now coming out of college and they don't want to do the a little bit of the grunt work that you and I did to learn it, whether it's themselves taking through or going through massive amounts of volume of training and watching other coaches coach and learn from their mistakes and their successes.
Yeah, that's all right. That's good information. In fact, I can echo I'm going to say cluelessness of a young person, because when I first got involved in the strength and conditioning field and wanted to put out information, I thought that if I put out one book that I would be able to retire like a millionaire. So
Yeah.
nothing could be further from the truth. I also, as you were talking, I remember that I think at some point I had gotten clued in as to some of the either minimal salaries paid to some of the people in this field at the university setting, or even, the internships, the unpaid positions and stuff like that. So one of the first talks that Diesel Crew did at Juniata was how to get started online with blogs, websites, ebooks, things along those lines, because we wanted to try to offer an avenue for additional revenue coming in for some of the people in the field. So I don't know how many people took action on that. I believe one of them was Jerry Schreck from Bucknell, who I consider one of my best friends. Not even just in the field, but anytime I spend with that guy is gold. So we developed a great relationship at Juniata over the years. It's really a shame that hasn't been going on. I have heard that they're going to try to start it back up, and I hope they do, because that was an awesome clinic. That was like a vacation for me every year. So
2 days of getting a chance to be around people that are similar to you and I, man, just talking training and having fun doing it.
Yeah, that's my idea of a vacation. I don't want to go lay on a beach. I'd rather talk shop. So
yes, yeah,
get some training in with other people on different equipment and stuff like that. And we are going to talk about some of the very cool technology stuff that you're using in your training. But before we get into that, you dropped what I would consider a bomb on the whole entire group. I don't know how many people were there. How many were at that seminar a couple weekends ago? Was it like
I
a
think
couple
they
hundred?
had like 170, 175 registered.
Okay.
So, and at
Yeah.
my presentation, almost everybody was in that room. So we'll
Yeah.
leave it at that. Yeah.
Everybody was there for yours, pretty much. And then I felt really bad. What was the dude's name that spoke last?
Ted Rath. He's awesome. If you follow him on
Dude.
Facebook or whatever, he's awesome.
And there was like a fraction of the people there. Like everybody that left really missed out because that was a good one too. You guys bookended the 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 strength seminar, and like they missed out. So
Yeah.
it's
But I
their
will say,
loss.
I will, if you don't mind me sharing this, I don't
Yeah.
care if there's 175 people in my presentation, or as you implied, maybe there was 80 people left for Ted. And Ted's been in the Super Bowl, and he's an unbelievable NFL strength coach, and for 15 plus years. And I mean, his resume is completely a stud type resume that every one of many people in our field. And there were people in there being like feeling bad. And I said, what you're going to see is a true professional be a true professional. He doesn't care if there's one person or 1,000. He's going to give you everything he has and give you as much passion as he has. He did not let anybody down by saying, "Oh, there's only 5 people here. I'm leaving," or what. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but he gave everybody what they came to see, and that's a true sign of a real professional.
Yeah. Now I hinted at it that you dropped a bomb on us. You had a pretty significant health scare in 2021, which I had no idea about. Could you share with us what exactly happened to you in 2021, which I think was the anniversary just passed a couple days ago,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, literally last night. So 12/1/21, in the middle of the night, I actually got up to go get a glass of water, and I ended up hitting the floor. I had 3 blocked arteries in my heart, and 2 of them were considered black widows, 99% blockages. And much like yourself, you are definitely more in the physical fitness world than I am as far as being consistent with it, to be very honest with you. But I'll run twice a week and lift twice a week. And a lot of that's recreational and having fun with the kids. But I'll get up and down the court. To back up before that, I was very active the day of Thanksgiving, um, chopping firewood with a real axe, carrying things that are heavy into different locations and that type of stuff, working here, carrying 100-pound plates, running banana courts at a basketball, literally that morning of. So nobody had any indication of anything that was wrong with me. I had no sign of anything. So that night I hit the floor. My daughter actually walked in and found me hitting the floor, and I was in full blown sweats. So any grown man here that wanted to find out what they could do a little bit ahead of time, it's called a calcium score. And sometimes I get to the end of the story there, Jed, and I forget to tell people that. But the thing that could have helped was literally $150 test that you can do on an annual basis when you go to get checked, but you have to request it. It's called a calcium score. And you would have found it if you had blockages. I obviously had 99% blockages. I was actually having a cardiac event, a full blown heart attack, for roughly 45 minutes to what they anticipated was about 70 minutes long. I did flatline in an ambulance. I'll tell you I'll tell you some of the emotional stories, or I'll tell you the parts that make you laugh. So I'll try to go back and forth to make you have fun with this. So you tell me when you've had enough. But my daughter found me on the floor. I was in full blown sweating like crazy. And my wife is a nurse. She got a very good friend of mine who's a concierge doc on the phone, and he is always he's one of those personalities that never goes up or down. He's just flat out level. And he made it very clear in colorful words. I don't know if this is a G-rated show or not, so I'll keep it G-rated. But he made it very clear to me that I need to get my butt to a hospital very quickly. In that situation, it was very important for me, for some reason, to change my shirt, put on jeans, and tie my shoes. I have no clue why, but it was very important before we left that I had to put on a shirt, jeans, and shoes. And then I walked out. And when I walked out, I'm telling you, there was so much pressure in my chest that I couldn't stand up. So I felt like I was like everything about bad posture was what I was feeling and experiencing. Like that felt good. It felt like a gorilla was jumping on my chest and someone spinning at the same time. It's and I kept telling my wife Chrissy that as long as I gotta lay down. As soon as I lay down, something's got to pop. I just got to yawn or something. As soon as it pops, I'll be
Mhm.
fine. If that popped, you and I aren't having this conversation. I actually went to the living room and I was getting dressed and walking out. Chrissy went down and told her parents that asked her if they could watch Bryn for a little bit. We have to go to the hospital. Like there's a question here. Like we're doing. Well, my daughter walks over to me and I might cry and apologize, but I'm a man, so I'll deal with it. But she hugged me and said, "Dad, you always win. I'll see you soon." Um, that stuck with me for a while, as you can imagine. So we get in the car. Uh, my wife has a Ford Edge. I have a Raptor, and she is terrified of driving a Raptor. So why would you not drive a 600 horsepower rocket ship to an ambulance? I have no clue. But we chose the Edge. So I'm sitting in the very front seat. I can't even get my butt in the front seat, Jed. I'm sitting where your feet go, hunched up underneath. Like if the airbag would have came out, I would have been concussed. Anyways,
Take your hat.
the, yeah, the wife is let's say in my as a man, I have to speak as a man. I'll speak as myself. She is a subpar driver. We live in back roads in the middle of nowhere, but we've done fundraising for this fire department, and so she actually calls, and the guy that we've always worked with is actually there at the fire department. He gets the ambulance ready. As we're driving there, there's a slow 18 wheeler. Now, mind you, I'm groaning and moaning. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I know I don't feel good. Excuse me. There comes a point where this 18 wheeler in front of it, and I can remember my wife going, "Hey, I'm going to pass the 18 wheeler, and we'll be there in a second." And apparently, I sobered up like that fast, and was like, "The hell we are! We are not passing. You are never passing anybody in the back road." And she decided to slow down and get behind the 18 wheeler. 18 wheeler turned at the next road, and we were flying. She still this day laughs when we get to that intersection about how, for some reason, I was on another world mentally, and then I could actually comprehend what she was saying about
Mhm.
driving and her driving skills, and that hopefully kept us alive. Because if she goes in the left lane, that truck T-bones her, and we're done. Anyways, we fast forward to the ambulance. It was maybe a 3, 4, 5 minute ride. The ambulance lady, the lady in the back, there's a driver in the front, and the doors are wide open. Everything's ready. They literally two dudes pick me up out of the car. I can't even stand up at this point. They lay me in a gurney. As many people probably realize, they strap you in. They get in the back. They put the EKG on your chest, and all I'm doing is like, "Yo, why aren't we leaving yet?" Well, I'm hearing my beat and my rhythm going on in the ambulance, and all of a sudden I hear beep, and oh crap is coming from the back. They end up putting morphine in one arm, adrenaline in the other. They close the door, and we're booking up to York Hospital um, about as fast as you can with the wife in there in her. I'm doing these things like really fast forward edge, following behind as close as you could, I guess. And they kicked through the doors over at York Hospital in the emergency room. They had just cleared all of the like reset the emergency room. So there was literally nobody there. When they're pushing me in, I remember like nobody was there. It was like ghostly. It was weird. They eventually got me into the room where they literally take a scissors and they rip from your pants all the way up to your t-shirts. Everything's off instantly. And Christy had just run in and they were talking to her on the side, like the door. You can't see my hand, so I'm talking my hand. I apologize. Um, and apparently now I'm drugged up. Jed, I don't drink soda. I have an occasional beer, like maybe 2 a year, 3 a year. Like I'm not, so anything that you put in my body is like foreign to me. So as soon as they started jacking me up with all this stuff to keep me alive, apparently I look over to the wife and I was like, "Yo, if I'm going out, this is how I'm going to go. 7 ladies tearing my clothes off. Let's do this." And she was rolling. And she said, as soon as everybody started laughing in there, she knew I was going to be okay. So I might have been in there 12, 15 minutes or so until the cath lady came, the cardiologist came and got that all set up. So they end up rolling me into the cath lab, and I vividly remember TVs on my left side, doctors being at my feet, and then what is now I know as an anesthesiologist reached over my head and put the mask on to knock me out. The doc, who's now my cardiologist, goes, "Hope to see you on the other side, Mr. Taylor." And apparently, I grabbed a hold of that thing, all doped up or whatever I'm doing, and I was like, again, colorful languages came out, and I was like, "I will be there, and I hope to see you there too, because I don't believe in the word hope. We're gonna make this shit happen." And
Yeah.
and she said a lot of times people come in when they have cardiac events, their mind kind of turns off, and it's like a really hard to get them like motivationally, emotionally, to stay alive. Like your mind has got to stay in the game to keep competing. And she said, when you did that, we went to work. Uh, so fast forward a couple hours later, let's say 6 or 7, the sun's up now. I wake up in ICU. I hear the beep, beep, beep. There's stuff going in your nose, over your ears, and stuff. But I'm handcuffed to a bed. Jed, whenever if you and I are ever somewhere where I'm taking a nap, I'm a swinger. So if you try to wake me up and give me a little shake or something like that, back up, because apparently I swung at the doctor, and they put me in
Wow.
handcuffs and they tethered me into the bed so that I didn't hurt anybody. So here I am, not knowing where I am in ICU, nobody in there because I'm air quoting COVID, and no one can come in. If they do, they have to be in these huge hazmats, it's like they're walking on the moon. It was crazy, and I'm tethered to a bed, can't do anything. Massive amount of pain down to my right leg. So what happened was I was dehydrated, so they couldn't go through my wrist. My first attempt, they were trying to go through the wrist to see if they can go through and actually clean and put the stents in the heart. That failed, and so they went through my femoral artery. During the femoral artery, they can nick a nerve, and that nerve hurts more than the heart attack. Jed, I'm telling you, I mean, 10 out of 10 times 20. Like it was bad. Like you cough, like I would hold it before I cough, like my leg before I would cough. And then there's the other thing. There's a sheath around your heart that got inflamed. A lot of times when you have heart stuff, that area will get inflamed, and that sent pain up through my right shoulder. I will back up and tell you that when I hit the floor, I'm going to speak maybe out of turn here, but Jed, I'm assuming that you and I were taught something similar. If there's a heart attack, the signs and symptoms are all going down your left arm, your left shoulder, left arm. We're always taught it's the left side of your body. Everything was in my right side, and I was in 100% denial that I was having an issue because it was my right. So for some reason in my head, left side bad, right side take a nap. Don't understand why, but it doesn't make a difference. If it's in your right or left, you're having a cardiac event. Get your ass to the hospital as fast as you can. You need help. If my wife decided not to stop at that fire station and went south to Baltimore, I live in north of Baltimore, the PA Maryland line. There's no way if I have a cardiac event that she could be actually reaching over, giving me CPR and driving. We've already gone over the driving skills to begin with. Even if she was an excellent driver, she can't
Mhm.
be giving me CPR and keep me alive and driving. So the fact that we got to an ambulance as fast as possible, I will also tell you, I don't advise you to drive to the fire station where we were and the situation that was occurring. It worked out in our best interest. Everybody that I got a chance to meet, intentionally or unintentionally that night, 100% had the best day of their lives, and that's what kept me alive. So every morning I kept fighting to see the next morning, next sunrise. So when sun went down, it was a very emotional time. When the sun came up, a very joyful time. Um, Again, it was during COVID, so there's nobody there. It was just me, my thoughts, and I wasn't going to quit. Let me catch my breath. I thought I did pretty good without crying so far. The So the docs and nurses come in these hazmat suits. I mean, now we're all looking back and laughing, but as they would walk through the door, it was just absolutely hilarious to me. And every time they closed the door, they would tell me, they would always say, "Mr. Taylor, we want you laying down and relaxing." As soon as that door closed, I would get up and walk to the door and come back and sit down. Walk to the door and come back, sit down. Walk to the other side of the room, sit down. My legs were so gone. I lost almost 60 pounds in 10 days.
Wow.
I was 263 on the table when they cut my pants off, and I was like 201 or something like that. I never got them below 200. When I was going out the door I never went in a wheelchair. I walked out of the hospital. There's no way on my spirit. I don't bow to nobody. I'm not getting in a wheelchair. Okay.
Right. I don't
Um,
even like to touch people's crutches because it
yeah,
seems like bad luck. So
100%,
I know what you're talking about.
100%. I'm fighting a cough. I apologize. Allergies and all this stuff. Um, you can fast forward to that idea. I get a chance to walk out of the hospital, and man, when I'm talking about frail, I'm holding on to things walking out, but in my mind, I am not giving in to you, me, or anybody. Not this heart attack, whatever. So I get home, and my family's there. You know, everybody's doing the right thing. Their food's coming, and it's like a celebration of life. And all I want to do is take a nap. So I get in our cozy bed. Your bed always feels better than a hospital bed. and check out. I will tell you when as soon as I showed up at home, we have a gigantic fire pit, maybe 50 yards from our driveway where we park our car. Jed, I'm telling you, I must have took 8 or 9 like pit stops because my legs couldn't keep me up. Your body decides to like rebuild it, reset itself or whatever. I was fried. It was probably more than that. It might have been like 5 or 6 days prior to. I think I was in ICU maybe 5 days, excuse me, at that point. Um, I think it was in ICU 4 days, and then I was on observation for 5 days, so 9 days total in the hospital. Um, I couldn't. I sat down at the fire pit, and it was just my family sitting there. It was just us. I mean, it was just tight knit group. I'm telling you, I could hear birds. I could hear the wind. It was just like it was just very different experience when they were saying like it's out of body. And the coolest part of the rehab or the part I needed was people.
Yeah.
The power of a hug and I love you. Uh, that goes along further than we all realize. Um, Obviously, being up around the holiday season, I'm going to tell you an emotional one, and I'll tell you a funny one to keep myself neutral. Since I've already screwed up Thanksgiving and I pretty much screwed up Christmas, the wife calls me into excuse me, she walks into our bedroom and shows me this video of a bulldog. We're bulldog people. I don't know what kind of dog you guys have. We're bulldog people, but she decides that this bulldog is what my daughter needs to, really grasp onto the enjoyment of Christmas. So as a dad, I got to say yes, even though I'm still on meds and all jacked up. I am allowed to drive. I am allowed to drive. So I said, how far is this? She goes, 40 minutes away. I go, I can handle a 40-minute drive. Let's do this. Get in the car. Again, Jed, I live in the top 83. You're familiar, I think, with this area that I live in.
Yes.
Top 83. We're at the PA line. We get in the car. We're in the car for like 25 minutes. And I'm looking at this thing. It's 4 hours and 40 minutes away. The dog's in Erie.
Oh my gosh, dude.
We
Yeah,
drive
that's
to
really far.
Yeah, we drove to State College. We got something to eat. I mean, Chrissy and I traded off driving. I was like, this is it just great, insane. So 12 days ago, I'm dying, and today my wife can't even look at the GPS and read how far and how did she get us to the ambulance on time? And it just I'm like, what the hell? Um, so then the next day after I'm home, I get up in the morning again. Everybody's getting up. They let me sleep. They um I wake up and the doc said, once you're basically on bed rest for 4 or 5 days, whatever. And I said, we have like a 500-yard driveway. And I said, I'm walking to the mail. Who's going with me? And I walked out the door. I was hell bent to do this. I had sweats on. I had a hat, vest on. I was like, there's no way I'm laying in this bed. You guys are absolutely out of your mind. I'm fine. Let's go. Jed, when I tell you, I took about 20 steps and they were walking behind me with like a folding chair. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fall down. And they slid the folding chair down and I put my butt down. My legs completely turned off. Like
Wow.
we probably stood there. My wife and it was just my wife and I outside, and we probably laughed and cried at each other for 45 minutes, and not realizing how severe this really was until that very moment. I couldn't walk to the mailbox. That's crazy. Um, so each day after that, I would literally try to make a goal of 4 more yards, 4 more yards, 4 more yards. Give it, let's say 10 or 15 days. Um, I was actually able to walk up to the top of the driveway and meet my daughter at the bus stop for the very first time, getting her off the bus. So you can imagine how excited she was to see that. Um, it was probably 3 weeks from me being home until I got a chance to come back into the facility and start training and stuff again. Obviously, I was in maybe 4 weeks. Aide could probably tell you better because at that point I don't recall what was going on. But the aide did a great job on holding the fort down here, keeping everything going staff wise. Um, it was really, really cool and touching to see the community of people that we work with here and how they embraced a very, very catastrophic event. And so I'm very thankful for my staff, my family, the people that you and I are clients of ours. They're really family. I mean, people just there's an exchange of money for a service. I understand, but I'm sure, Jed, that you put your heart and soul into people, and they're part of your family. So now I get a chance to to speak. You're well aware. I've spoken at 500 locations around the world. That's a big part of what I've done as far as a profession, as a career. But now I think it's very important. And I'll be honest with you, Ted, which he shared part of his story with his stroke and stuff. He was one of the guys that got on the phone with me, and he was like, "You got to share your story because there's someone out there that doesn't realize they're having a bad heart or they're having a bad physical type scenario, and all of us are having ego and we don't know address it." And he's like, "If you share it, people will listen." So now, not at every event. It's got to be an appropriate event. And I thought that event at the Mid Atlantic Conference with friends that I know, including yourself, it was a good one to keep or gain or um, get people's attention. And like I said in the conversation, I'm going to be Coach Taylor during the presentation for the next 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you a story about Rob, and I was very real about that story.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I think sometimes you go to these things and these speakers are like otherworldly people, and you forget that the people doing the talks are actually real people and they have real stories. So yeah, I thought that was good that you brought that up in that setting.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback. Some people, when you share something like that, you don't know how it's going to be received. Um, but I do know that if it positively impacts one person, like yourself, and now we're getting a chance to share the story on, and hopefully it impacts one other person, that's all you and I can do. Um, if as long as people are aware that they need to get themselves checked, a cardiac score is what you got to ask the doc, and you can put yourself in a better chance of not going through that.
Do you think you've covered everything you wanted to on that story? Because I
Yeah,
got a couple
yeah,
questions for you.
good. Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see the questions on your end, but we did get a couple questions from Home Gym Physique.
I did not. I
Um,
apologize. I was staring at you and trying not to tear up. So Phil, you did
oh,
a
it's
good job of
no
that.
problem, no
Good.
problem. I don't
Well,
even know if they display on your end, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on when you told us all that. I was like, how
yep,
is this even possible
yep,
based on what I know about you?
yep,
So, how do you think you ended up in that position? Is my question. How did
yep,
you get there? And the questions from home gym, the question from home gym physique was, I'm curious to know if you had low vitamin D levels before your heart attack.
yep,
Supposedly, people with low vitamin D are prone to heart disease. So, how
yep,
did you get there? And
yep.
are you aware of your vitamin D levels prior?
Okay, so I do have a family health history of hearts just deciding to stop through all of the males on my side of my dad's side of the family. So there is a health history. So if you know that going into it, at the time I was 43 or 44 when it occurred. So realistically, I was young on the cardiac wing. I was the youngest guy there by like a decade. I mean, when we were doing our walks up and down the hallway, that it was to get us moving again. Like obviously you're busting balls, and that's my personality. You've known that for a long time. So
Yeah,
I'm going to give it to everybody, nurses, doctors. I don't care. You're just going to get the wrath of Rob just for the hell of it, just because it entertains me. Um,
I would expect nothing different.
correct. Uh, I was the youngest guy on that floor by 10 years, if not more. So yes, there was a hereditary trait to this. I can get the questions, then I just turn it on so I can see the vitamin D. Um, I will tell you, I'm going to answer this question kind of backwards and then go forwards. Okay, uh, I think everybody should. What would I do now differently if I knew this now? Your age, 30s, 25s. I really wish I would have went back and found out. You're asking for what's called a full panel blood work. Full panel. It's not necessarily the blood work you get when you get your annual physical. This includes hormones and other things. When your testosterone dips, when you get in that 40 range, you also have a very high chance of cardiac response in a negative scenario, cardiac event, heart attack, etc. Vitamin D was, I don't know if it was necessarily low before because we didn't do a test before, but I know that since then, vitamin D is a supplement that I have on a regular basis that we add to fish oil, vitamin D, and there's a couple other things there, but you kind of get the gist. So I know vitamin D is a big part of that. Getting out in the sun and just enjoying that. Now, uh, this time of year, to be very honest, I mean, it's the same time of year it happened. I'm inside with no windows for probably 3 months because I'm working with basketball kids and training pretty much the entire time. By the time I'm done, I go outside. The sun's down, and I get to work before the sun comes up, kind of idea. So I'm not really outside getting vitamin D. Um, on a Monday to Thursday basis. If I get out there on a Saturday with my daughter playing sports or whatever else, then that's a chance. But yeah, to get vitamin D levels checked would be important. To get your calcium score would be important. To check to see if you have any pre-diabetic markers would be absolutely very important. The what is the? I'd also be curious to know the prior to your heart, despite any training, what your diet was like. I'll be very full disclosure. I eat a lot of venison, a lot of venison. We don't. We normally get half of a cow for the year in our house. I live in the middle of nowhere, and we have two gigantic freezers that I actually trade venison for fish and duck and other stuff. But we normally get one half of a cow that has nothing injected in it. Um, that would be my meat option. I'm a pretty consistent vegetable person. Um, I'm not a huge dessert person. Not to say I don't shy away from desserts, but it's not like it's something that I don't need um, a half gallon of ice cream on a regular basis. I actually don't even know last time I had ice cream. Um, but the real big marker was stress. And the doctors, they never even told me that to lose weight. I was in what was considered an American healthy weight for someone who weighed 43 or was 43 years old and who was 5'11. Um, but they did suggest trying to find ways to reduce stress. And so now there are times where I take a nap in the middle part of the day. There are times where I get a chance to go sit in a tree stand and don't even take a bow. I just go out there and enjoy chilling out and relaxing. I do believe in our field. Again, I'm going to speak in general from the experiences that I've had. I'm cranking from 5:30 in the morning till 8:30 at night, and I take every win and loss, any injury, any success. I take all that home with me, and it's very hard for me to turn that off.
Yeah.
um, so when things are going well, I'm excited. That's still stress. When things aren't going well, I'm trying to figure it out in my head, and my head's always cranking. So we do have to find a way to try to connect or disconnect in a positive way that's manageable. Again, I also own a business, and I have staff, and I take their family and their success very, very seriously. Making sure there's food in their table. That's a big part of my life on a regular basis. I want to provide for as many people as we can, and I think people deserve that. So, yeah, vitamin D being one thing I would check, but the thing that I would ask your doctor is, can you do a full blood panel evaluation that includes hormones and other things? But if you can get a baseline and know that let's just say at 40 years old, you're at 600, that if this occurs when you're 51 and you're at 320, now you know what your baseline was, and they can help because it's, in my opinion, and maybe I'll speak out of line, but like testosterone replacement therapy, um, which did put me on after the heart attack experience it was just part of medicine, was trying to get you back to, let's say, 800 to 1,000 on a number, just give you numbers. When you get under 200, like, you're a significant risk because of your testosterone levels being low, just like low vitamin D and other precursors. But I would not say that my nutrition, I don't eat a high fat diet. We're not a high salt diet. We don't eat out a lot. Actually, that was one of the funny parts of the story when a nurse comes in, they got to do an observation, a little, like, check the boxes. What do you do? Like, how many, you must drink beer, or you must eat McDonald's all the time, or you've got to be, 300 pounds or whatever, or you're 260 at the time. Like, I was 260 pounds, and they're like, well, you look like you just must be fat. And they grab a hold of my arm, and I'm like, it's not, sir, it's not fat, or ma'am, it's not fat. um, so everyone's probably a little differently there, but I would suggest full blood panel, and you'd have at least have a baseline of that, and then it doesn't cost much to have that.
Yeah. All right. Good information, Rob. I really appreciate it.
I
I
just
think
read
we
this.
covered the what?
Home
Sorry.
Gym Physiques. If you're 43, do me a favor this holiday season, for you, your family, Jed, and I. Go get a full panel. Get your calcium score checked, and Christmas you'll feel a whole hell of a lot better knowing where you are. I'm just reading
Yeah,
a
on your
question,
mind.
Jed. Go.
Tell us about some of your sponsors, Rob. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, throughout my career, I've had 21, and I've been very, very fortunate to work with unbelievable people. Again, from Rogers Athletic to Pendulum Strength, Tyler Hobson has created an awesome line of equipment now. It's called Iron Core Strength. Is this new line of equipment? The presentation that you saw on that Saturday was Elite Form. That's our technology company, and we monitor bar speed, and it provides video feedback and gives us power and that type of stuff. I think that's crucial. I think we handed out like either 5 or 7 yearly subscriptions. They now actually have an iPhone version of their technology. Um, I think every I'm not even saying I make nothing off of this at all, this conversation. I think everybody that does training that uses a barbell, a deadlift, they're in the rack, should be using some form of velocity based training feedback so they can provide instant feedback for their clientele. We are fortunate to have actually a TV system in here where the video feedback actually happens. So when you get done, Jed and I, if you and I were deadlifting or squatting, or I remember you saying you didn't bench, but let's say we were benching, as soon as you rack and hit end, the video feedback comes up, so we can watch your reps right on the television. The kids nowadays, they learn much faster through video. I grew up, and I'm assuming again, I'm gonna make an assumption you grew up in an area where they grabbed a hold of you and they're like, "Hey, put your hands up and back because that's where we want to be for a batter stance or whatever else." Now they watch video, so having
Right.
that type of technology is awesome. Um, from iron grip dumbbells to plates to custom made everything in here, from the flooring, from Thor to the next field, from coming the turf. Our turf comes in from from Canada, and there's just been so many cool. Actually, we handed out fat grips at the event too. They do an awesome job, and they made a smaller version of them. I think I might have showed you the smaller version of their grips too. There's just been so many cool people that have done so many cool things with us and for us that I'm just eternally grateful. And in a holiday season where we're supposed to show appreciation and thankfulness, I can't speak highly enough of the amount of unbelievable people that have crossed my path throughout my career. You being one of them.
The It's funny about the fat grips because I think 3 or 4 different presenters tried to give me fat grips.
Yeah,
Of course, look,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was gonna sit in the back
yeah,
and just kind of camp out, and I'm
yeah,
like, no, I'm not doing that.
yeah,
So I moved up to the front.
yeah.
A big part of it was I couldn't see the damn screen even with my glasses on, and
Oh yeah,
I wanted to be able to read the screen and get the information. So
yeah,
I sat up in the front, and of course you were the first speaker.
yeah,
Uh, One of the first things you did was talk about me being a national champion, which
yeah,
I appreciate
yeah,
because I had many people come up to me during the course of the seminar and ask about grip stuff. So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah,
But you tried to give me fat grips, and like 2 or 3 other speakers tried, and I'm like, no, give them to somebody else
yeah,
because I've already got like 10 sets of those.
yeah, correct,
I
yeah,
didn't want to
yeah.
be a hog. So
And at any point
um
you can call me and I'll get you more. I mean, it'll happen in a heartbeat, my man. But no, in all fairness, when you go to an event like that, I want to recognize people in the audience because there's so many cool people that do amazing things like yourself. I want to see you do a presentation on grip strength and how you program it and that type of stuff with athletes and grip competitors. I don't know anything about that. And we do grip. Grip is a big part of what we do here. I can send you videos for days. But to see that somebody that actually focuses on that, um, I'd love to learn from you more, like regularly and more. I'd love to see you speak and present and share. Shit, I'll call the NSCA now and other locations that I'll be at to see if I can get you in a docket. That's important. How important it is to me for you to share your information.
well, that would be cool. That would be a lot of fun. Uh, tell us about the velocity stuff.
Yep.
So I do conjugate training in my
Yep.
powerlifting,
Yep.
and that of course involves speed work where
Yep.
you're working with lower bar weights and try to
Yep.
move the bar as fast as you can.
Yep.
Right now we've got it phased out because we've modified our training, but up until like a month ago, we
Yep.
were incorporating dynamic effort method in our training every
Yep.
single week.
Yep.
But how do you do it? What do
Yep.
you look at in your training?
Okay. Can I ask questions with questions? I hate doing that,
Sure.
but how do you monitor the rate of speed that you're picking up so that you can provide the best load possible? How do you
Okay,
monitor this bar
so
speed?
yeah, so we go by feel and we're always watching each other and we videotape the stuff.
Yep.
So as far as actual data, I
Yep.
don't have it.
Correct. Okay.
But
So
as
that
far as looking at it and kind of developing a visual standard,
yep.
we have that.
Correct.
And honestly, the times that we've gone too heavy, it's very apparent that we went too heavy on that. And
Yep.
usually it's because we're trying maybe a new variation of the deadlift
Mhm.
or the squat that we haven't. Maybe it's a different bar or we're standing on a box and we
Yep.
just can't generate the speed.
Yep.
So, it's pretty apparent. It jumps out right away. And I
Yep.
know that Louis Simmons always talked about 0.8 meters per second,
Yep.
but no, don't have any method here
Yep.
to truly measure
Yep.
and get that data.
So I was that person for a very long time, and I actually grew up in a high intensity HIT Arthur Jones, that type of tree. Mike Gittleson and Ken Manny and Tim Swanger and Marcus Sonovich, and I can go through that whole um, tree. That's where I grew up, and that's where I cut my teeth. So everything was no momentum, go as slow as you can, put as much stress on the muscle. One set, let's call it the failure, momentary muscular fatigue. Maybe there's stuff afterwards. I explained some of the overload protocols at that presentation as well. And then Julie asked if I would share some of this velocity based stuff because rep to rep, I can give you instant feedback on our system. So I could take your same, like we talked a little bit about this in the presentation, and I appreciate the questions you did have. I could have you bring your conjugate program, your dynamic or effort day here. It would take me 5 minutes to push it into the computer. Excuse me, and it would print out the weights you were going to use, and then on the platform or in the rack doesn't make a difference. Rep to rep, it would be a green screen, a red screen, obviously good or bad, or a yellow screen, which would be your best effort. If you want to call it PR, I hate using that, but it's a gold medal we call it here, and it tracks that over time. So rep to rep, set to set, I can actually make adjustments live fire. Now, some people will say, like in your warm up sets, you can get well over zero point 0.9. You can get 1.2. This morning, I think they were squatting and they were in like the 1.2, 1.3 for their warm ups, but that's not really the work set. So we kind of max out on a certain number, and then we know we can put a little more weight on for the warm up. And then on the flip side, when it gets to the work sets, we know that there's a bare minimum speed, bar speed, meters per second that they have to achieve in order to stay in that, let's call it effort, not necessarily weight, but that effort. Um, and then we can manipulate it from there. So let's say if it's let's say you have a set of five and three of them are red, so you're below the speed or you had some type of form breakdown. We're probably going to lighten the weight up. But let's say the standard is 35 meters per second, 0.35 meters per second, and you're at 32, and the form looks pretty good. I might just keep you there and say we got to dig in and go. It's just a hard day. If you're posting a 12 to your statement there, you can see that it's too slow. So you
Yeah.
know that's too heavy. And that can be day to day different. The issue that I have is so many people write up a program, and I'm not I'm not an online programming kind of guy. Like write stuff up off of Instagram because you reached out to me. We do everything in house. Um, we can make adjustments rep to rep, set to sets. And there are days where you are absolutely awesome. Green screens, yellow screens the whole day. Um, and there's also days you come in and you're like, I did the exact same thing, but I'm all reds. So we can manipulate that a little bit right there from the velocity and figure out how you're doing and put you in the best situation for success. Um, our programming varies as far as reps and sets. Generally, bench press, we normally go from, let's say, 3 to 12 reps. Our squatting, we normally go from 5 to 15. We do have a couple workouts, our 20 rep finishers, where they might be like 45% of your max, but they're also done on a specific speed, and we track how many reps you get at a specific minimum speed, or that set doesn't count. We lighten the weight up. So you could say we have a linear program that has conjugate built in because of the reports that we get back. I think I told you at the presentation, we can also break it down by team. We can break it down by age range, and we can break it down by gender and age range. And we can look at all of those numbers and find out if there's something going on. Like if everybody else in here is going, let's say, is fairly linear as far as the progress, and all of a sudden one team is showing a bunch of red screens, it might be an outlier where they're telling us like they're just either tired or they're being overworked or whatever. But it's something that's a red flag, and we got to look at it. So
Sure.
the Elite Form is the company that we do use, and they do an awesome job of providing uh, an excellent video feedback, numerical feedback, and then now with the screens popping up, um, it's incredible tool for us in here. Not to mention, you always have and I'm not going to, I don't want to pick on anybody in particular, but you always have a dad that's standing in the back being like, hey, Jed can do 315, put 3 plates on there. Like, my boy's the strongest guy in the room. But if he's at 225 and he's posting reds, okay, then I have an unbiased third party evaluator in there, doing what's right for the kid and making sure that they're trying to stay healthy. Cause I'd rather see things done well versus done heavy. Um, so it kind of is another, like, a safety valve for us as well.
Yeah. Well, I listen, when you went through that, I thought it was fantastic. So I definitely think you're onto something. And I would not be surprised that your athletes are some of the best prepared in the area at all.
Uh,
So
some are the best prepared in the
fantastic.
world by the world records and the stuff you see on TV that
Oh,
they're coming
sure.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It was amazing, dude. I loved your presentation. I took all kinds of pictures of um, your PowerPoint or whatever.
yep,
And I know that they sent them out or whatever,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like that's just sitting there. But I have the pictures of the stuff that I wanted right
yep,
on my phone so I
yep,
can reference them. So
yeah,
I like
yeah,
to do that.
yeah.
Um,
I did like you asked. If someone goes to a presentation, I'm going to talk about people that are in the seat versus people that are standing up, kind of thing. Um, a lot of times I'm sharing just something to get through 50 minutes because I have so much to get in. Like, people are like, man, you went really fast. I'm like, we basically asked me to do 2 presentations in 50 minutes. But then
yeah.
you slowed me down and you were like, well, how do you do that in house? And then I can actually tell you some of the things that specifically that we do here that might be just a little tweak from what I'm sharing just because of the speed of what the information I got to share. So some of the better questions are what worked for you now, and what do you know now that you wish you knew then? And I thought you asked great questions like that topic that made it real easy for me to fit into the presentation and be like, yo, this is the in-house version, and you stuck with me. That was great to see.
Well, part of it was it seemed like the crowd was dead, and I
Mhm.
was like, I gotta do something.
Yeah,
I gotta talk. So
yeah,
that's kind of why I injected myself
yeah.
into it.
I have
So
no problem. I appreciate that dynamic. I think it's great. I have no problem going up there with a plan and then people firing away questions. I don't care where we go. I'm going to go wherever the audience wants to go.
yeah.
At the end of 50 minutes, I'm done, and I'm going to go sit in the crowd and take notes just like you. I did. I am a big believer that we all can learn from one another, and I don't care who it is. It could be someone brand new to the field, or it could be someone as experienced as you and I. And it was neat to see someone who's been doing it for a while asking really good questions and embracing that. You
Well,
had notes like crazy. Your athletes and your clients are definitely fortunate to have someone like you as a true professional working with them.
appreciate it. So learning from one another, I got a question for you
Mhm.
about the workout that Evan, my buddy, and I are going to be
Mhm.
doing today.
Yep.
We've got overhead press coming up.
Okay.
So what would you suggest that we do in our workout today? I know you know
Yeah.
very little about our training
Yeah.
program right now
Yeah.
or where
Yeah.
we're at or anything, but what's a tip that you would give us
Yeah.
today?
I do know a lot about shoulders as a baseball guy. Um, I would say, first of all, I like overhead pressing. I like programming it. For let's say the majority of people who have healthy shoulders, I love doing it. I think it's a great exercise. Um, I'm a big fan of making sure that shoulder girdle is warmed up before you start getting into something that's heavy. So something that's rotator cuff oriented, that includes trap, um, rhomboid, if you want to call it that. I know most people are going to go in this day and age. They don't go behind their back, excuse me, behind their head anymore. They stay in front of their chin, so they're going to be very heavy on the lateral and anterior deltoid kind of let's call it emphasis. I do like programming something in there that either warms up or finishes the rear delt. I think that's very important to do. I'd probably go back to more of my high intensity type stuff versus the velocity based type stuff for those protocols. I would probably go velocity based on your work sets, your dynamic sets for your overhead presses, which I think would be awesome, especially someone who is very strong in that position as far as their skill efficiency of that exercise. Um, and then I'm a big fan of doing some type of finisher on every pretty much anything. So I don't care if it's squat day or whatever else, but I'd probably put you in a machine until your arms you couldn't wash your hair for the next 2 or 3 days. Um, in a vertical motion, and it might change the angle from an incline all the way to a let's call it a strict military press, just to tax that shoulder, the three heads of the shoulder in different ways. But warming them up, making sure you attack all three heads of the muscle, monitoring your work sets as far as speed goes, or whether it's velocity or no velocity, depending on the day and whatever you're trying to accomplish, or whatever your theory or your principles are. Um, and I'm also going to tell you, make sure you take care of the muscles of the head, neck, and upper back. Because if you don't take care of that area of the body, and you've heard me speak on that topic many times at Juniata, I think you do start getting neck issues and then shoulder and elbow issues when you're just quote unquote avoiding that area of the body.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I just started doing regular neck training probably about twice a week, maybe 3 weeks ago. So I ended up with a migraine.
Yep.
And I hadn't had a migraine for like 8 months.
Yep.
And I was like, I gotta do something that I haven't been doing in a while. What would that be? And I was like, I haven't been doing any neck stuff.
Yeah.
And one set
Yep.
of plate neck flexion.
Yep.
And something, I don't know what it is, something in the back of my neck popped.
Yep.
And haven't had a migraine since. Usually if I have one migraine, it's like an earthquake, right? You have your primary earthquake and then there's aftershocks for
Yep.
like 2 weeks. I have
Yep.
had no aftershocks since
nice.
that migraine. So
Yep.
I'm convinced that something was coming out of my neck.
Yep.
And by correcting, I think I corrected it with that exercise.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any relapses.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so that's back in the program.
We do about 64 exercises, and I say about because I know it's 64 exercises for their head, neck, and back program. I will gladly send the video to you, and you can send it to anybody who wants to learn more about that, from body weight all the way up to progressive overload machines. But yes, to your point, training the head, neck, and back does not take a lot of weight. It does not take a lot of resources for the beginner. Just like you and I learned how to get stronger by doing a push-up in the beginning, pull up in the beginning, and eventually progress to a point where that load just isn't heavy enough. And you need more load. You need more stuff in your program. So I have no problem sending you that link and getting some videos on that type of stuff just for your own knowledge. And then maybe if somebody else has a question about that, you can forward along, and I have no problem you sharing that information.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate it. Dude, we covered some great stuff today. I really appreciate your time. Was there anything that you wanted to bring up and shoot my way?
No, I just want to reiterate, man, you're a true professional. I appreciate your friendship. Get your calcium score done, get a full panel on your blood work. I know that was a big part of the conversation, you and I, before this show, because you wanted to share that. And again, if you and I can help one person just with that story, we did our jobs. And I'm very grateful for being here. And I'll attack the day and keep trying to inspire greatness to anyone across my path.
Yeah, and you always win, right, brother?
Yeah, and I always win. Yeah.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I think I got that panel done this year for the first time ever. I think I got it done.
Yeah.
I think it was August or September. I can't remember. I'll have to check, but I think I have that information in my
Not every doctor wants to do it because there is a little bit of an out-of-pocket expense. Insurance doesn't cover all of it, but at least you have a baseline. Going back to the gentleman that asked about, or the person who asked about the vitamin D, if you have a baseline, at least you can go back. I didn't have a baseline, so I didn't know where we were at age 30, 35, 40, 45, etc. Now it is part of the plan, if you want to call it that, with the doc. So you just got to establish, you got to self-advocate a little bit.
Yep. Awesome. Home Gym Physique had one more question. Any advice on treating tennis elbow? So so I'll take this one first.
Go ahead.
It depends on if you have it already. What I would suggest for you to fix it depends on where it's coming from, because more and more I'm running into people who it's not like an elbow issue itself. You're just feeling it in your elbow, and it's actually got something to do with your shoulder or posture. So it's really hard to address it without knowing more. But if it is something that is just in your elbow, I would recommend getting my Fixing Elbow Pain ebook, because I paired up with a professional physical therapist on that one to have proper information, and that will get you fixed as long as it's an actual elbow problem and not coming out of your shoulder. But what would you say along those lines, Rob?
First of all, I'm not a medical professional, so anybody who comes with an injury to me, they go see a physical therapist. I have plenty of them in this area that do an incredible job at what they do. Um, and then we work around it. I will tell you, my response to this question would be, I would train the other arm, the other shoulder, the head, neck, and back, the conditioning, the abs, the legs, and let the physical therapist handle the injury. I don't fake like I'm good with injuries, but I'll communicate and coordinate. We're doing this interview on Monday. After this, I have about 6 different physical therapists that I'll be on the phone with, going over injuries from clients or new clients that we've had, and finding out where they're at and what our plan is for that week. So the more of those types of people you can have in your network to reach out to when there are questions like this, the better as you go through the ranks of being a professional in our field.
Yep, that's good information. I try to stay in my own lane too. Like I know what I've done to fix my elbow pain in the past, and I can tell you right now it's a lot easier to prevent it than it is to fix it.
Yeah.
So again, fixingelbowpain.com, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it's that. But Rob, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
And are you still doing your podcast these days?
No, we got to a point. It's probably 10 years or so that we stopped. We got to over like 4 million views at one point, and there's just so many people doing podcasts and interviews, and I felt like I was one of the early adapters to the podcasts and the interviews and those types of things, and and mine was all done on a phone call and recorded, and I would edit it on a computer and then post it. To be able to do this on a video and that type of stuff, and do almost like a Diesel Crew TV almost thing. I think this is awesome to see where I'm going to say where the younger professionals in our field have taken these podcasts or this live opportunity to learn through social media is really, really, really awesome. And I think it's helping our field share information way more rapidly than back in the day. Again, I had to fly all over the world to get a chance to learn from people like yourself. And now you can pick up the phone and do it literally, YouTube Live or Instagram Live, or just do it FaceTime on your phone. So I do a lot of education. I do a lot of in-house corporate training as far as education and CEU type stuff, but it's all done predominantly private. And then I'll speak at a couple public events like a couple Saturdays ago when I'm asked. But I don't fill out forms anymore as far as speaking, and I don't reach out to anybody. People reach out to me.
Well, tell us before we completely wrap this up, tell us where to go to find out more. And if you can send me an email of exactly what you'd like in the description box, I will put it in there sometime today when we're done.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you go to smarterteamtraining.com, that gives you the bulletproof or the bullet points, I guess, of our programs here. If you go to STT Performance, it actually runs you right to the team and sport appropriate programs. A lot of people get interested in the sttperformance.com side of our website. And then my bio is on robtaylorjr.com. I will tell you, as a professional in our field, and maybe you saw it with the QR code at the beginning of the presentation, create an e-business card. If you call coachtaylor.com on your phone, and let's say Safari. I don't know how to do it on Android yet. I'm not very well done with or not very well versed in Android, but an iPhone, if you go on Safari, call coachtaylor.com and create add new contact, create new contact. Instantly, you have my direct cell phone number, you have my email address, you have my website, you have all our social media content. They have those like cards you can tap on the back of your phone now, all that type of stuff. As someone who walks into gyms on a regular basis for clients, or like basketball courts or football fields and that type of stuff, talking to parents that might be potential leads as far as clients, I can instantly touch your phone and have all that information in your phone instantly, while somebody else is still trying to tell them their phone number. And it just makes me laugh because I'm like, bang, here it is. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email, give me a call. Check us out on social media or go to the website. But that's another cool one. I'd be happy. Maybe in another episode we talk about marketing and other things. Like I'd love to learn how you did the ebook and fix your elbows and all those types of things. I think that'd be a cool conversation to have too.
Awesome, buddy. Well, it sounds great to me. Thank you again for coming aboard, sharing your story. and I wish you the best day and happy holiday season.
No problem, man. Appreciate you, buddy. It's always great
Thanks.
to call you a friend, and keep doing what you're doing. You're inspiring greatness in others, and for that, I commend you.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Yes, sir.
See ya.